Hello and welcome to another episode, a Christmassy episode of On the Topic. I am dressed head to toe in Christmas gear, all the bells and whistles, baubles and flashing lights. I'm Alex.
And I've got my crown on. Go grab your mulled wine, your cider, your beer, your tea, coffee, or whatever you're drinking at this time of the day. I'm Dan, or you can call me the Queen, if you will.
Or the Christmas fairy.
Yes.
Put you on top of the tree.
It's that time again where you get to see my face on the Queen's body.
Yeah, it's the stuff of nightmare fuel. And this is our third Christmas, Dan?
Yeah, I think it is. We missed 2019 just purely because of bad luck. Not because of COVID, because that wasn't around. Well, it was in China, but not then. Not with us.
It wasn't a thing. No.
It wasn't a thing, but yeah. Third Christmas.
Indeed. And what we like to do is give you an alternative episode, perhaps what, us Brits or those listening around the world are you subjected to at this time of the year. So grab Granny, Grandad, the dog, grab those side cuts of food, beef, whatever you've got, and come gather around the smart speaker as we give you our traditional Christmas Day message. And it's a very important message, Dan, that we have this year, isn't it? Season's greetings, goodwill. Some of us are coming in a lockdown, some are coming out. There's lots of uncertainty. So we'd like to, I guess, touch on a little bit about reflecting on our year. And it's been an interesting one, interesting for everyone. And I've got some questions for you, Dan, and you've got some questions for me. I'm going to run through how the channel has gone, the podcast, so some numbers. I'm going to quiz you, Dan. And then we're going to talk about what we're looking forward to. That's going to edge into our most anticipated for 2022. But this year, Dan, it's another year, and we've done it almost entirely, by a couple of instances, all remotely, haven't we? All via the Tinterwebs.
We've made it work.
I think so.
I think we've done a couple of episodes face to face, but we've just sort of been staying well behaved.
We have. And I think when I reflected on last year's message I listened to earlier on today, we were just learning the ropes with remote recording, and we had a number of mishaps and misfires. And I think we'll smooth things out, Dan. I think it's your audio quality, time relevant stuff that you usually expect from On the Topic. And to that effect, actually, so I hid this from you. So when I took a screenshot of my notes, Dan, I took the number out because I didn't want you to actually know the answer.
Oh,
but I know, right? It was almost like we planned this. Last year, we had 1,354 minutes of audio goodness that we bestowed upon you, the listener, wherever you are across the world. How many minutes do you think this year we managed to churn out and deliver across all our various different podcast platforms?
Oh.
Is it higher and lower? Let's play a game of higher and lower. Is it higher than 1,354 or is it lower?
I'm going to say higher because I know we did more episodes this year than we did in 2020.
Did we?
Because we were still trying to iron things out, yeah. I think we've beaten it by about 4 or 5 episodes. And plus we've got we've got this one. And then we've got our next episode, which comes next week. And potentially an on-the-go Spider-Man review. So that would take it to 31. But we don't know what's going to happen with the government or, fire breakers and all that stuff. So I reckon a nice round 30 by the time 2021 is out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm going higher. Because I think there's been some good episodes out there this year for us.
There are. Okay. So it is higher. So congratulations. You're through to the next round.
Yes.
Of higher or lower On the Topic end of the year. Is it higher or lower than 1,750 minutes? 1,750 minutes.
Oh.
Is it 300 more minutes longer than last year?
I'm going to say lower.
Lower. Well, the audience knew better. They're all booing and all saying, Dan, what are you doing? They're jeering. It's higher. It's higher than 1,750. In fact,
Really?
we pushed the boat out and we talked probably for far too long, apparently, because we spoke for 2,039 minutes this year over the last 12
Wow.
months. 2,039. And yeah, you're right. By the end of the year, it's going to be 30 episodes, 30. So we've done pretty well. I think we got back into our groove. Last year was a bit tough. We were tough for everyone, right? But we're working our way around. I mean, we have to get new gear, new tech. I've got a lovely now sound muffler over my sound guard. We're all set up. We're all set up. Your lounge today, Ada?
So I'm actually in my living room today, which is
Beautiful.
unusual. So my other half I sent her home this year for Christmas.
Sent her packing in a
I
nice
sent her
way.
packing in a nice way, yeah. We weren't too sure what was going to happen, and because her mum lives in Ireland, she's got two governments to fight with. So you got our government and you got the Irish government, and the Irish government have been sort of changing their rules and regs. So I got home early this year. So I've actually been able to set up for the first time ever in the past, nearly 2 years of doing this in the pandemic, in my living room. Usually it's in the bedroom, Alex. She's here hogging the bit on the TV with the cat. And well, I've got the cat today. So at any point he could stir from his sleep and want food. So I'm just going to put a warning out there.
Why not? Put a cat spoiler warning. But yeah, as you say, 30 episodes. And yeah, I think we've found our groove and we're into whatever, hopefully, the next couple of months and year throws us. Now, if we look back, Dan, we've had quite a few episodes. Which are your favourites? Have you got any that particularly stand out, or any that the listener perhaps might want to listen to that you think you particularly enjoyed?
Yeah, so I've chosen 4 episodes. Technically 5, but I'll explain. So I'll start off with OTT episodes 17 and 18, which is 13 years later, catching up with Catch Me a Comet. So anyone unfamiliar with Catch Me a Comet, it was my small band way back when we were young, nimble, and able to rock it out on the stage. And for me, that was a really cathartic episode, and that was really only birthed because of most anticipated 2021, where someone on social media said a return for Catch Me Comet. Now, I know it's not the reunion that perhaps some of our fans would have wanted, but the point of that episode was to reflect on that time together as a band and potentially give younger bands an insight to what it's like. And the great thing is now we're sort of older and wiser. It was sort of very self-reflective. And it was incredibly humble, very raw, and a little bit sweary. So, yeah, that was one of my favourite episodes. And that sort of happened. I had to do it on my own terms, really. And I had to get the guys to agree to it, which, I mean, it's essentially brought us all back together in the sense that we talk regularly now, which is good.
And that's what I think. When I listened to, I wasn't part of that, and I enjoyed sitting back and listening as I'm editing, along with as a listener would. And it's just you get the sense of nostalgia and the anecdotes that you guys share individual as a group, and it's a really good listen, and I really enjoyed it. And if you haven't caught that one, was it 17, 18, did you say?
Yes.
Yeah. So go and have a listen. It's a really good set of honest interviews, and yeah, it's a really interesting listen.
My second episode is OTT episode 28, which was with Leah Holford and Paul Messer Photography. Now, Leah Holford now has dropped that pseudonym, so she does write under her normal name of Kelly Turner. And they're now married, Alex. This happened just over a week ago.
Yes, of course. Congratulations, guys.
Paul is no longer Paul Messer. He's taken her surname, so he's Paul Turner. But yeah, that was a really good episode as well. Learning about how they've brought their skills together to, set up their own little business, their sort of side hustle, which I thought was fantastic. And I love them both dearly. Really good episode. That it's quite funny as well.
Yeah.
I think you sort of do get a bit of an insight into how I ended up being a bridesman. So that's a one to listen out for.
Yep, an interesting story there. And all that time later, of course, you've managed to do good on your duties.
Indeed. OTT 31. Do you know which one that one was Alex? All I can say is there was a lot of pent up anger and was all unleashed.
Was that our Grind Our Gears one?
Yes, what grinds your gears. So that was a good episode just to unleash all that pent up anger. Bad mouthing arseholes on electric scooters and people.
Yeah, it's really good. We we put out, didn't we, on the feeders on social media and had a couple of story and inputs, and yeah, there's lots of people with pet hates and peeves, and it's an episode for the common man. I mean, this whole podcast is, if I'm honest. I don't think we cater for any particular niche area of society, but that one is, I think there's a lot of relatable elements of society and day-to-day life that really annoy people. I think it was a really good one, Dan. I enjoyed it.
And to be honest, sort of hearing you unleash your anger on certain things, I was trying hard to not laugh my fucking head off. I remember sitting there like trying to stifle my laughter, but then I suppose maybe I should do it more often. Maybe I should laugh, make it a bit more.
Don't hold back, Dan.
Exactly.
I know I'm a funny guy. Don't hold back.
And finally was our last episode, OTT episode 38, Die Hard, a Christmas film.
Oh, yes.
And I'll tell you why this is one of my favourite episodes. We thought we were going to be doing our next episode on that evening, but you had prepared for the Die Hard, a Christmas film.
Yes.
Whereas I prepared for our next episode.
Communication was on point.
Yeah. I mean, not necessarily a bad thing. We've both been really busy with work. You know, coming up to the Christmas period, it's pretty much non-stop and people getting in their last bits of work, etc. So it happens. But that night I decided, well, do you know what? I've got an hour before we record. I will quickly hammer out some notes and then I'll just completely blag it. And actually, it turned out to be one of my favourite episodes of the year. And that's why I've made that mention.
Yeah. Good shouts.
So that's mine, Alex. What were your favourite episodes this year?
I mean, all the ones you mentioned are very, very good. So if I haven't mentioned them, it's not because, you know, I think they're poor. It's just because I think these ones edge it for different reasons. So go all the way back to OTT number 16, which is a different perspective with Solent Sky Services, Dan.
With Mike, Sarah, and young baby George.
Yes. Now, the reason being is we said that we wanted to do certain things this year in our most anticipated 2021. And this really kind of marks that. We said we wanted to spend more time speaking to the local creatives, and you tapped up the guys on social media and they were willing to speak to us. And actually, they had some really interesting, heartfelt kind of stories to tell during lockdown. I think for me, that was kind of an uncertain step in a different direction, I guess, for the channel. But also, it was so interesting to meet up with those guys, to learn who they are, what they've been up to, and some of their stories during lockdown. And they were still going and still recording, and they had to navigate some really tough, tricky times and logistics. And I really enjoyed it, and it was a great episode. You know, Baby George is squawking in the background. He's probably talking now, running around, being in trouble. And it's just so good to meet new people, hear their stories, and I think it was a really, really fun episode. So it's number 16 for those who perhaps like the sound of that.
Yeah, put the link in as well for their 2-hour YouTube video, which is just so beautiful. Yes. And even if you don't live in Portsmouth, you know, please go check it out, because it just shows you how our community came together at the start of the pandemic. And you meet all these wonderful people that live on our island city. So yeah, it's definitely worth a watch. So that'll be in the description below. Yeah, good shout down. So that was 16. And then we had, in my opinion, we bashed out a couple of really good ones. So number 34, which was not
the rise
euphemism.
No, definitely not. Never with us. The Rise of the Groff.
Oh, fantastic.
Season 3, Sex Education. Now, I had a lot of fun with that one, and it went back to us doing a series review. And at that point, we hadn't done that many. Well, we've done now quite a few runs. And you sort of spoiler klaxon. But no, that was a really good series. I really enjoyed reviewing that one. And I think just it was a joy to review and a joy to kind of share our notes and our thoughts on that one. So that's 34. 35 saw us do a Halloween episode. This was our volume 2. And although we didn't have really anything too much to, because I think we went all out, didn't we, really, on a kind of our own anecdotes in 2020? Yeah, in Halloween 2020. You shared about, your own interests and some of your stories, and they are shit scary. And I think I shared probably one or two of my own. But I think we still managed to give it a fresh take this year. And you took us on a journey all around the UK on some interesting local haunts. And I think that was really interesting as well, because I think we deviated a couple of times to share the odd story here or there. And again, it still left me with goosebumps and me looking over my shoulder every 2 minutes for 2 days. So thanks for that. But I really enjoyed it. I think it's a really good one. So if you fancy something a little bit different, it's not Halloween, of course, but nonetheless, you can still listen to it if you like that kind of thing. That's number 35, and I really enjoyed that one again. Didn't go wood, but it did scare me for a good couple of days afterwards.
Just to butt in there, Alex. So I went to Kelly and Paul's house last night for dinner.
Oh.
I left some stuff there, but when they got married, and when you sort of getting thrown stuff, and can you put this in the car? Can you put that in the car? And you sort of forget your own stuff. Well, I went and picked it up, and they fed me. But anyway, they're both into paranormal stuff, and they did get involved in the 2020 episode. Their stories, but they were showing me some crazy footage from where Kelly used to live.
Oh yes.
I did go home in the car that night in the pitch black, driving through all the back roads of Fareham and getting onto the M27. Feeling a bit uneasy.
Yeah.
It still does it to me now, even after Halloween episodes.
Yeah, and it becomes more real when actually you meet people who have those stories to share and tell. So if what kind of the feeling that Dan's just described you're into, then that's a really good episode. So I'd hugely recommend that one as well. And then I finished off with number 36, and that's not for any other reason other than I've wanted to do it for a while. We've done it for the first time. This was our on the go episode. So we came out of watching James Bond, wasn't it?
Yes, No Time to Die.
No Time to Die.
You'd actually bought those microphones to be able to do that more in 2020. And of course, cinema shut down. But I'm really, really hoping actually we can get to the cinema in a couple of days after Christmas to go see Spider-Man. Because again, I'd love to do that. Walk back to Old Portsmouth, get the mics out, and take you on a tour of Gunwharf while we're digressing.
And dodging drunk people. And I think that for me, it was interesting to hear back, and hopefully you listened enjoyed it. If not, I mean, it's not terribly long. It's like 10, 12 minutes. But it's literally taking you from the doors of the cinema as Dan and I talk a spoiler-free walk through the centre, the shopping centre, through the quiet streets of Portsmouth as we reflect on what we've just seen, some of our favourite bits, and what we're looking forward to in the review. So yeah, that's a good one. Lots of background noise, a bit of AMSR to enjoy the sights and sounds of Portsmouth. But yeah, as you say, hopefully we can do some more in the coming days, and keep your ears open for that one, because that should be dropping hopefully shortly. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. But I guess it's time to say thank you to all the guests we did have this year on the show. So that's Todd, Sam, and Zach from Wild Band Catch a Comet, and my good friends. Thank you, guys. You've got Mike, Sarah, and of course, Babe Jaws, I mentioned earlier, from Silent Sky Services, and thank you for sharing your stories with us. Kelly and Paul Turner, aka Leah Holford and Paul Messer Photography. And finally, we forgot about Peter Alex from About My Area, Portsmouth and Island City Living, who again sort of gave us a good insight to what he's been up to with the franchise, and what the future holds. And of course, his app is now released.
It's out in the wild, and he's bringing the community together. So another valued member of the year as we interviewed. So yeah, thank you very much to everyone, and obviously, of course, to you listeners. I think it's made for a really interesting and exciting year. And I think the final thing for me, Dan, as we look back, I mean, these are some of the things we said we wanted to do this time in last year's episode.
But
in a kind of a stalkery, creepy kind of way, no doubt.
Yeah.
Social media.
I mean, Brad's a cool guy, actually. I mean, we sort of regularly chat on Twitter, and I think he's going to be a fascinating guest to have on the show for sure, especially sort of talking about Portsmouth creatives and that. But I mean, I suppose my dream, Alex, is to maybe have some more of the local businesses. Like, I'd love to know the backstory to my favourite brewery, Staggeringly Good, literally around the corner, stone throw, and just see what inspired a dino-inspired brewery, I guess.
We decided to change direction because it kind of fitted what we wanted to do. So I think with that in mind, I probably want to do kind of more left field things. You know, we as we said before, we did a second volume of conspiracy theories, which is absolutely bonkers and balmy and batshit crazy. And I really enjoyed looking at that. You know, we like going down those rabbit holes, and that one was a really, really fun episode to. Not just to talk about, right? Because it is like a pubcast. We don't share the notes for episodes together, do we, Dan? We just hit it between the eyes, between us. And that's what I really like, is having fun with the researching and then telling you some weird and wonderful and crazy ideas and stories. So I want to do more of that, you know. So I think by and large, we've done those things. You know, so we wanted to speak to local creators, want to do more left field things. I think we've done that. So, Dan, what do you want to do next year?
I would love to get more guests on the show.
Good shout.
I would love to get more guests, and these are the people that I'd like to sort of speak to the most.
Oh, he's already got a list.
I've got 3 people on my list, but of course there are more. I know we sort of tried to reach out to a couple this year, and they've fallen through. But it is what it is. But this one's been on the cards for a good nearly couple of years now.
I guess this one.
Which is Brad from Strong Island Recordings.
Shout out, Brad.
I mean, we were supposed to sit down with him just before COVID hit, and of course we lost our recording space and we didn't really know what we were doing, but we worked it out, and Brad has been busy this year, and it'll be good to speak to him properly. You know, I speak to him on Twitter all the time. I think he's a fantastic guy. I think he could genuinely give us a good insight into what it's like to run a record label, should I say, and, you know, the future of music.
Sounds good to me.
Our good friend, Joey, Morbid Mundane. So I'd like to get him on the show, talk about his clothing line, his designs, the origins. And, you know, there are generally things there that even I don't know, and I've known Joey for a very long time.
Good shout.
This one might be a bit far-fetched, but, you know, they always say if you don't ask, you don't get, and maybe I'll try and put the feelers out at some point next year. Staggeringly Good beer. Those dino brewing maniacs. I want to hear about how they've started, why dinosaurs, how do they make beer that wrecks my glass every time, you know. I would genuinely love to get them on the show, and if anyone from Staggeringly Good is listening, please... get in touch, but otherwise I'll be emailing you at some point in 2022. So what about you, Alex? Is there anything that you particularly fancy doing in 2022?
More film reviews, Dan.
Yeah.
I know it's been difficult in the last 18 months, 2 years to actually do one of them, because unless they're going to be straight to TV, we haven't been able to go to cinema much. But, you know, optimistic hat on. I think I'd like to do more of that, go to cinema, make use of the roaming mics, and I think have some fun there. And as you say, probably get some more FaceTime, either, you know, face-to-face or on Zoom. Some more local people, hear their stories and see how they're getting on, and again, work out the community. So I think, there's much the same and more of the good stuff, I think, for me, for sure.
Yeah, I think we'll probably discuss some of our movies that we want to see next year, and most anticipated 2022, which will no doubt drop sort of very early January. So
just in a couple of weeks' time. Yeah.
I mean, there are, other than that, there are a couple of things to look forward to. So, of course, we're hoping, although we can't guarantee it because things are a little bit uncertain, is the Spider-Man No Way Home review.
Indeed.
But, of course, Hawkeye as well. So that's just finished today at the time of recording. I watched the finale, got a bit misty-eyed towards the end.
Oh, I've yet to, but I'll be watching this couple of days.
Yeah, I'll keep it spoiler-free, Alex, but if you don't get a bit misty-eyed, then who are you? I mean, you've told me off in the past.
I know. We've also got the final season of Cobra Kai. Season
4, yes.
4.
So that comes out, what, New Year's Eve?
Yep.
Oh, I'm excited for that.
It's going to be a good one.
It is going to be a good one. I do love a good season review, Alex. I'm not going to lie.
No, it's going to be good. So we've got plenty to look forward to. And I think it's probably time for you guys to let us know what you're looking forward to. Is there anything particularly that you help us out? We've got our most anticipated. So it's still time to get in your requests. So is there anything that you're looking forward to? As you've got the family gathered around the old wireless or the smart speaker, ask them. Ask little Timmy. Little Timmy, what are you looking forward to? Or Grandpa Phil, who's falling asleep. Give him a nudge, wake him up. Say, look, the guys, listen to the guy. Look, Alex asking, what are you looking forward to? Let us know. Get in contact. We've got some contact details down. How can the listener get in contact with us to let us know what they're looking forward to next year?
Now, you can get us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at On The Topic Pod. And we've got Gmail, which is onthetopicpodcast@gmail.com. And if you follow any of our socials, I'll put a link in and you can go through to Anchor. Now, on that link, you will be taken through to Anchor, of course. And it will ask you, do you want to record on this device through your microphone? Click yes. And you can leave us a voice message and you can be a part of the show like some of our previous listeners, as we've had this year and in previous years. But we've got WordPress as well, haven't we, Alex?
We have, we've got our WordPress. All you need to do is go to On The Topic Podcast, all one word, all lowercase, On The Topic Podcast.wordpress.com. If you go there, you'll see our ugly mugs, you'll see some bios, you'll see some links to our affiliate websites, such as Joey from Morbid and Mundane, who does our lovely teas and threads, as well as newsletters and the rest of it. So go, give it a visit, have a look around. And if you really want to, you can also give us a listen, as there's a player through WordPress as well.
Beautiful. But that wraps up for our Christmas Day message. I'm off to go and grab some mulled wine. I'm going to go sit down with some cheese and biscuits. And I'm probably going to watch a film with the Rents. So I've been Dan.
And, I've got to dust off the crumbs because I'm covered in pigs in blankets and Yorkshire puddings. And I'm going to be putting on probably one of my most favourite animated Christmas films of all time, Arthur Christmas.
Beautiful.
I've been Alex.
And we'll see you next time.